trees and nature behind me. And we're recording for you so we can send it out to you. We're all here together, running through 3 magic words again, and we're on the chapter on success and health we're going to cover. I'm only going to do a little bit of reading from the book today. I've mapped out what I'm going to read, and then I've made some notes of things I want to say and cover, which I've got a little bit on my phone as well. I sent you out a video as well to watch. I don't know if you had a chance. It's very, very short, and you got yours late. I sent you one a few days ago. Seek ye the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God. Did you manage to watch that one? They're very short, and they're the parables of Jesus. So Jesus spoke as he preached around Galilee and Nazareth, and he talked a lot about the Father, and he would come from the Father. I'm sent from the Father. And so I sent these last 2 videos this week leading up to this workshop, because what is going on in the world, is created a lot of uncertainty. And in order to have certainty in your life, amidst all this uncertainty, we must know who we are. If we know who we are, and the 3 magic words are I am God. And when we know that, in other words, we know it from a place that's deep within us. It's unshakable. Anything can be going on in the world, and your world is not going to shift. You can think about what's going on in the world, and you have to take precautions and obey by certain new rules, but you're not living from terror. And there are so many people living from terror. When you know the 3 magic words, which are I am God, you know therefore who you are, you have what this book tells us, peace, because the minute you know who you truly are, peace. You've got peace. You're happier. You're free. You're not contained by someone's idea of the truth, and then someone else has got a different idea of the truth. And the truth, by the ego standard, is you should have this, and you should have achieved this, and you should have become that. And it's all based on fear, loss, and lack. But when you know the absolute truth, I am God, you have this deep peace. With peace follows true power, incredible power. And people see your stillness amongst all the uncertainty going on in the world. And from that power comes abundance, plenty. And this is what this book says. The key, 3 magic words, the key to peace, power, and plenty. It's the key to it. Because it's your freedom, it's your truth. So this is why I sent you those 2 videos to look at. We'll talk a little bit more about them after we've read the chapter on success and the chapter on health. So I lost my seeing glasses. I can't find them. I had them on Sunday, and then I lost them. So I found these little $2 pair, and they're okay. I'll read with them, and I've rung today to see if I can get some more to find them. I think I will. So, okay, success. Follow the light that illumines thy soul, nor fear if thy steps seem to plod. A man ever gains his most cherished goal when he giveth his work up to God. In other words, you're about your Father's business, and that's love. So in other words, when you know this, you become it, like we were saying, you master the work, and then you start seeing this work, showing up in everything you are doing and being. And so you are then about your Father's business. You can't help yourself to help others. You know, you've got compassion, you've got forgiveness, you've got charity. You know, you've got that within you. Something has shifted. And I'm going to send you after tonight my most favourite movie about Jesus. And it's on YouTube, and it's a whole movie. You can watch it on your phone or wherever. And it's a Gospel of John. Jesus from the Gospel of John. Jesus according to the Gospel of John. I've got it on my phone ready to send to you guys tonight. And you're going to love it. You really love it. And when I sent you Seek Ye the Kingdom of Heaven, I couldn't stop crying when I watched it. And every time I watch it, I cry because it's such truth. It is the truth of God and of Jesus. And, you know, I can resonate with Jesus, and I just feel it. I know it and feel it. And I know that when you get to that point in your life is just going to shift and change in leaps and bounds, I can tell you. And you guys are there. You are there. So when you watch the movie, you'll love it. You get a bigger and better insight into Jesus. And the scripture that never got out does mention, you know, and it's explained a little bit more in this movie, so you'll love it. So follow the light that illumines thy soul, nor fear if thy steps seem to plod. A man never gains his most cherished goal when he giveth his work up to God. When we get about our Father's business, in other words, we know the truth, and we're being the truth through whatever we're doing. So I'm going to read, abundance and prosperity are true spiritual conditions and are desirable, right? They're desirable. But they're also spiritual conditions, abundance and prosperity. They're not just ego conditions, guys. They're saying here, they are spiritual conditions. And they are desirable. You know, desire's being given a bad name by religion. You know, if you desire, that's a bad thing. But desire, if you look at the Bible, it says God gives us the desires of our heart. So when they're from the heart, they're loving, they're purified, and they can't cause you suffering and pain. So, and they are just for all men. But it is the pursuit of money for money's sake, just to have more money, itself is both senseless and is degrading to your spirit, for it ignores the destiny of man. And remember, I've said a few times, spirit is your destiny. Spirit is your destiny. That's our destiny, is to know ourselves. Jesus said, know thyself. That's our destiny. And that's to know ourselves. Remember, we're the Christ, the incarnated Christ, to know ourselves as God. And last week I tried to explain, or the week before, that when Jesus said in the Bible, I am the Father of one, it is the Father within me who doeth the work. But the Father is greater than I. When he says that in the Bible, he doesn't mean that God has greater power than Christ. He means that God is his creator, and he is the creation. And the creator is always greater than their creation. But the power is equal, exactly the same. So we're incarnated as a Christ, and we've got to go walk on our water. When I say that, move your mountains, I mean there's not anything you can create that you can have, that you put your mind and your heart to in a visualization, and know in your heart, trust it, see the end outcome and let it go. That it will be yours in its appointed hour, because you've got to let it grow like a baby, right? And God knows the right time. So what you're doing is you're affecting your God power by impregnating God, the energy known as God, with your idea with your visualization. So here it says, so the pursuit of money for money's sake is degrading to your spirit, for it ignores the destiny of man, and the destiny of man is to know thyself, and thyself is God, is spirit. So our modern social structure of almost complete interdependence causes each of us to lean heavily on his daily supplies of money to provide food and shelter and the comforts of life, things that most of us are not equipped to obtain in any other fashion than through the use of money, right? Money becomes our staff of life, our security rests upon it, and we overlook the eternal truth. Our security always lies within us. Because see now, with everything going on in the world, and a lot of people's work is stopped, and people are frightened. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I this? How am I that? And, you know, you've got to go within. You know, you've got to go within. And I know that I will be taken care of. I know that there will be money. I know that everything will be fine. But I said to God, even if everything must go, so be it. I have the most valuable gift. I've got the most valuable gift in the world, and that's I know who I am. And what you know, that saying, what does it matter if you gain the whole world and you lose your soul? You know, or what does it serve a man if he gains the whole world and you lose his soul? You know, because that's you're here to know yourself, not to lose yourself. And we have lost ourselves, and we're coming back. So don't be frightened, you know. And I say to God, whatever it is that has to happen, you know, I trust you, but I know that I trust you also that whatever I choose to have in my life, I can have. So lay not up treasures. But you know, when I said that, whatever I want, I can have. I know whatever I desire, I can have. But if I also desire that my life be used in a manner that God requires of me, then I accept that. So whatever happens, I accept. Lay not up, Jesus spoke, lay not up treasures upon the earth where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves will break through and steal. But lay up your treasures in heaven, that's within, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through and steal. For where your treasure is, there will be your heart also. Let money measure your service. Let your thoughts be always on further service you can be to your fellows, and you will find their gratitude coming back to you in the form of money. Perhaps not from the person you have served, but return it will. But that is the law. Take your satisfactions from service, constantly seeking to expand and to improve it, to give and to serve. Take no thought for the money, which is always the result of the measure of your service. And money will come in result to the measure of the service that you gave. In other words, when you render even the smallest, slightest amount of work that you do with a pure intention to give, you know, it's phenomenal what will come from that, you know, because it's measured by the intention of your heart and your soul. And you will find yourself involved in an abundance that is unshakable, for it comes from the roots of the soul. Prosperity is founded on the law of mutual exchange, sows poverty. Whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even unto them, said Jesus, for he saw the great exchange of all of life, and he knew that one who contributed to impoverishment must be impoverished in return, and the one who contributed to prosperity must prosper himself. So it is that what you give, you must get, and what you sell, you must buy, and what you think, you must see, and all things return home once again. So, cut out a little bit more from this. The secret which every intellectual, I'm just going to go back a little bit. The magic that makes each of us what he is springs from an inexhaustible source. We are creative creatures, umbilically tied to the creative power of God. We create by our thoughts and our emotions, and miraculously each moment of every day beneath the level of our consciousness, there lies an infinite pool of knowledge upon which we may draw for every project we have the courage to embark upon. Always God gives only threads to those who spin a web, and he smiles on those who dare and aspire with courage. No man is denied this creative power. It is the foundation, the root, the very essence of each of us. By working with it, we are carried to dazzling heights. By opposing it, we wither our lives in the endless rounds of futility. Emerson wrote, "The secret which each intellectual man quickly learns, that beyond the energies of his possessed and conscious intellect, he is capable of a new energy, as of intellect doubled upon itself, by abandonment to the nature of things," in other words, the ego and the world around us, "that beside his privacy of power as an individual intellectual man, there is a great public power upon which he can draw, by unlocking at all risks his human doors and trusting to open his soul, and suffering the ethereal tides to roll and circulate through him. Then he is caught up in the life of the universe. His speech is thunder. His thought is a law. In other words, it happens immediately, like Jesus did, instantly. And his words are universally intelligible to plants and animals. In other words, everything obeys him. So it's Emerson wrote that. Now I'm moving along. An universal subconscious mind known as God protrudes through every conscious mind in the form of what we are pleased to call imagination. This play of imagery, which we may summon into our conscious minds, has absolutely no limit whatsoever upon it, except that which we ourselves impose. By doubting, fearing, stopping, starting, all creative impulses spring from your imagination. It is the undreamed, the undone, the impossible, which life itself is constantly striving to achieve. So, universal subconscious mind, the power will go to work for you, creating in your life those very things which you allow yourself to imagine and to believe and accept in your heart. Consider the lilies of the field, said Jesus, they toil not, neither do they spin in vain, striving made them not, nor will they ever worry, and worry will not hurry their bloom. They spring well formed from the power that governs all, and man may pursue his ends on earth with the same composure as a lily nestled in the field, with trust in God, faith in tomorrow. So we have this energy, this God's universal subconscious mind, which we can call our executive partner, and put the imaginary vision out there that we want, and along it comes. Chance has nothing to do with directing great ideas to the people who have them. The ideas find their owners because their owners attract them. And this is an incredible time. People are stuck. They can't go out and work and do what they've known how to do. So now we entrepreneurs, geniuses, multi-millionaires and multi-billionaires will be born out of this climate. And that's why I'm thinking, what can I put out there, you know, to help people, you know, that may be of value. And out of that, something incredible will come. Free yourself to ask this wiring question with complete confidence that the answer will come to you for an idea. Will you write a book? Will you build a bridge? Will you develop a new market? Start your own business? Obtain a better job? Develop your capability for rendering increased service. See everything online now. Ask universal subconscious mind, God, how can I do this thing? And rest assured that the answer will come. Don't struggle with it. Don't snarl and doubt and wonder and fret. Simply have confidence. In a day, in a week, in a month, the answer will come clearly, as if a voice had spoken into your soul. So, I'm reading along because I don't want to double up. It is a difficult thing to convince people that destiny and desire are the same thing. But there remains not the slightest doubt that this is so. Confusion comes because people believe that desire is wishing or hoping or envying. A man will say, "Why, I've desired to be a writer all my life, and I've never had anything published, nor even come even close to it." We might ask then, "What have you written?" And be assured that his answer will be, "Well, I've started quite a few things, but I can't ever seem to finish one." Because he doesn't believe he can. He doesn't desire to be a writer, he actually desires not to be a writer. He is so convinced of failure that his escape mechanism prompts him never to finish anything, so that he won't ever have to suffer the fear of having anything rejected. Desire always springs from emotion. Get this, guys? Emotion. That's why I say to you, when you're feeling a certain way, check what you've been thinking. That thought gave you that emotion. Emotion follows thinking. Change this, put in a new end-outcome visualization, and the emotion will change. You'll pick up, right? So desire always springs from emotion, and emotion is what impresses a conception, a thought belief onto the universal subconscious mind, God. You put it out there, you impregnate the universe. People are forever adopting attitudes that are in direct contradiction to their emotions, simply because they want another face to present to the world. They go to great lengths to preserve this face. Some of them even winding up in institutions for the insane. They do absolutely nothing about changing their feelings and beliefs. Beneath the level of consciousness, their desires are all aimed at negative things through fear, hate, insecurity. Even through the face they show to the world seems, even though the face they show to the world seems pleasant and aspiring, we know them and find them wherever we go. They are our brave little martyrs, long-suffering, our good people whom fate seems to delight in dealing blow after blow. Isn't that true? You hear them complaining, and you try to help, and they'll go back to being the martyr. They are not to be chastised or scorned. They would help themselves if they could. They simply do not know how. They are stuck in a pattern. And we mustn't ever give up, because remember, we are one another, and we're all, God is incomplete without us all, and we're all returning home. This is our job. We either do it from close or we'll do it from afar when we've completed our journey, and we might be a guide. Do not confuse true destiny with the defensive mechanism of your conscious mind. Know yourself, lay bare the bones of your feelings, expose them daily, no matter the pain or the suffering or the humility involved. Be true to yourself. You know, be responsible. Don't blame anyone else. For only when your hurts and griefs and torments and fears have been cast away can you find your true being and see the nature of the power that flows forever through the depths of your soul. Individuality is founded in feeling, and the recesses of feeling, the darker, blinder strata of character, are the only places in the world in which we catch real fact in the making and directly perceive how events happen and how work is actually done. William James. So we understand that success, I'm going to finish it up now here. Yeah. Success comes from successful thinking and imaging, which comes from inner poise and spiritual courage, which comes from a man's discovery of his eternal self that dwells within the body. Wist ye not, I must be about my Father's business, becomes the motivation of his life. No aspiration is too high, no task too great, for he sees the grandeur he is caught up in, understands all things are possible to the power that dwells within him. The satisfactions of the journey are always to be found on the way and never at the destination at the end. He who has learned this has learned the secret of peace of mind, because you're not racing to get anywhere. Let your work be an expression of your love. Thus will you render true service, wrote Cale Gibran. And I say, Cale Gibran wrote this, and I say that life is indeed darkness, you know, terror, fear, saved only when there is urge. And urge is your desire to know who you are, your desire to live, your desire to help one another. And all urge is blind, it's blind desire, saved only when there is knowledge, truth. You can have all this knowledge and it's not the truth. And all knowledge is a vain, saved only when there is work. Because what's the point of having all this wisdom, all this truth, and you don't serve? You don't put it into practice, right? Service, love. And when you work with love, you bind yourself to your true self and to one another. This is God. Okay, everyone. So, wise is the man who strives for fulfillment of the great self that dwells within him. To this end, he will make every sacrifice, but he will never sacrifice the self or his knowledge of the self, God. All his aim will be at ridding himself of his ego, at achieving unity with God, at communion with the center of consciousness. Thus success will come, thus prosperity will be yours. So that's a chapter on success. So what it's saying, you know, summing it up, is know thyself and you have abundance. Find your truth. Your spiritual journey, your ongoing quest to understand, you know, that you are this Christ energy and you are God. So this, and once we understand it so well, we start helping others to understand it. And this is our quest. This is our service. And everything you need will come to you. You will not need to stress or strain like the lily in the field that he talks about. You know, the sun will shine and it will rain and it will have everything it needs to bloom, to know itself. And that is like us. So when you seek the kingdom of God, you find your treasure, and you won't have to worry about anything else. So isn't that absolutely beautiful?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a chapter on success, and I've got a few little paragraphs on health because it's pretty simple. Disease is a product of the confusion attendant upon growing self-consciousness. So it is that man, the most intelligent of all forms of life, falls constant prey to disease and illness, while the lower forms of life exist in physical perfection. Look at the dogs. They don't catch the viruses, and they don't worry about it's going to be cold, it's going to be hot. I don't have enough money. See? Disease is a product of the confusion stress attended upon growing self-consciousness. In other words, the growing self-consciousness of the ego. Oh my God, I need a new couch, or I need more money, I need to travel. Everyone's traveling, I'm not traveling. I'm getting older, I need this. I should have been here by now in my life. Animals don't think. Their mind doesn't have that capacity in their brain to think. That's why you can teach them a trick and they'll do it, but maybe in a day or two, they can't remember it. Or you train them up really well and they do that trick all the time. You say sit, they'll sit, they won't stay there. They'll move because they won't go, I better stay here until that person talks. They can't think like that. They don't have that capacity. And because they don't have that capacity in their brain, they don't get sick. They can't get disease because they can't stress. So that's what this is saying. Desire is a product of the confusion, the stress, mental stress attendant upon growing self-consciousness. We're developing our egos and we become stressful creatures. So it is that man, the most intelligent of all forms of life, falls constant prey to disease and illness, while the lower forms of life exist in physical perfection and harmony, unburdened by mental confusion. The plants, they sit there. They don't think, freaking hell, it's going to be 40 degrees today, and I'm stuck here in this pot or in this ground, and how am I going to get out of this? That sun's going to scorch me today. What am I going to do? They don't think like that. The sun does what it does to them, and they recover. And that's what they're saying. The lower forms of life can't think like us. We're the intellectual, highest intellectual forms of life. So we were made in the image of God. We were made in the image of God, and we are God. No one ever bothered to tell us. We had to discover this, walking blindly around the place, stumbling, one suffering after another. So it is that man, the most intelligent of all forms of life, falls constant prey to disease and illness, while the lower forms exist in physical perfection, unburdened by mental confusion, because they can't think. The lower we go on the scale of life, the scarcer become the evidence of disease. Until at last we are forced to the conclusion that disease is a product of mental development. Most certainly a product of evolving consciousness, evolving ego. Evolving into there. If a man does not love, it is a rare person who consciously desires to be sick, though it is certainly true that a few unhappy people have so completely cut themselves off from the spiritual unity of life that nothing further appeals to them than this form of slow suicide. The vast majority of people fall prey to disease through negative thinking and through a negative coping mechanism established in answer to buried pain remembrances that were locked up, and they are called the prompters. They're prompted and triggered out of us, right? Someone we accept a person into our life to love us, and we happily fall in love with this person, and then 3 to 6 months down the track, they're just a completely different person. And we react, we're triggered, we're prompted into either ending the relationship, running away, or attacking, or threatening, or sabotaging our own health. So if a man does not love, he hates, or he projects one of hate's deformed bodies. Do you understand that? We're not loving someone. So in other words, we are resentful. We're in a relationship, we become resentful. We are going down that path. We are under the umbrella of resentment. Is a character of fear, is a quality of fear. It's a quality that under hate, it's one of hate's brothers and sisters, and hate above it is fear. So everything from fear stems bad, negative. And the more that you stay in that environment, the closer it becomes hate, which is a complete opposite of love. So if a man does not love, he hates, or he'll project one of hate's deformed brothers. For love is the power of the universal subconscious mind God, and it flows through each person who lives, whether he uses it positively or negatively. If he uses it negatively, as in hate, it is a corrupting power aimed at evil, and it weakens and decays, and it withers the self, the body. Instead of the power for life, it becomes the power for death. Remember my story? Because all I had was resentment, anger, upset, trying to change my life with my relationship and with in my first marriage and my situation and myself. I couldn't talk, so I hated myself, and so death's your way out. So once again, we see that the commands of the universe are love or suffer, love or die. Love is the power that heals. See, we're talking about health. You want to heal the world? You want to heal your situation with what's going on in the planet now? Love is the power that heals. Love banishes confusion, roots out the pointers, brings peace of mind, bars the door to negative thinking, reveals the indwelling perfection of the human soul, not the love of man for woman or one person for another, the love of man for God, and the love of God for man, which is complete in man when he knows his love for God. You know what I was just thinking? I've been going to sleep at night visualizing that the world is in harmony, peace. But then I'm also visualizing about people who are in power. And now I suggest we visualize sending them, opening their heart chakra. Because remember, they're only capable of doing harm to the world because they're living from fear and they want to control and have power because of fear. They think, they are in a position and they can do it. But if we were to visualize opening their heart chakra, can you imagine? Because you've got to work with love. You can't, if you visualize the downfall of them, if the opening the heart chakra means the ego goes down and they go down, that's a path that God chose to bring them to the light. But it's not our job to choose a path for them. And definitely never out of any fear or harm. So we visualize the heart chakra and then we finding God. Okay? Yep. So that's what we're doing, all right? No fear whatsoever. God and love of God for man, which is complete in man when he knows his love for God. Wow. Thank you, darling. Should we put them there? That way we can all eat.
We put them in foil. Foil so it stays
And they're nice and hot?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you. If you guys want to eat, we'll start eating. And then we can cover up grab something, and then we'll cover it up, hey? Put a few things on your plate, and then we'll cover it up. I can get this out the way for now. Oh, lucky you.
I know, and I love this whole outfit, Daddy.
That is so good what we're visualising, isn't it? Oh, look, we're having a snack, guys.
When did you actually get your voice sort of gone?
Well, adult. Married with 2 kids. It's just a fear. It still happens to me. It's really scary. It's really, I see it happening and I can feel it coming up. But it's, I don't know why. It's whenever I feel inferior, the minute I feel I'm out of my power, like inferior, and when I'm talking about the truth, I don't ever feel inferior. But even like the other day, to go to see someone, and I had to talk, and that quiet room, I feel, and I do my best. I never stop because I know I mustn't. Yeah, no, I won't do that now. But it's right. It's there, and so it is a journey of awakening. We're awakening, and we're going through whatever our fears are, and I had to go through a lot of struggle to, well, virtually, I was losing my life, and that made me fight for my life. And then I said, let me live, God, and I'll show you what I'll do. I'll show you, I'll teach you this 3 magic words, because I knew this truth. I put it onto audio, I read it onto audio, and I would listen to it in my cleaning business with my cassettes on. And I knew it back to front, and I still didn't do it. I chose death because I was the victim, and I kept wanting the outside to change and not using my own power from within. But then I got it when I was virtually dying, and I was talking to God and saying, I'll show you, you let me live, I'll show you, I'll show you what I'll do with 3 magic words. And that's when I had the near-death experience that night. And then my father the next morning appeared, told me to get the book, which I thought, oh my God, that book, he means I've got cancer. And yeah, amazing. And that was a journey, and it saved my life. But I was determined. I fought for my life. It was amazing.
But how did you come across this book? That is my next question. How did it come in your
This book, Anthony Robbins, I was listening to his cassettes. And
back in the 80s?
I found one cassette in a Salvation Army shop, and it was entitled something about success, and I thought it resonated because I wanted success. And it was in a plastic little case with no paperwork. Because I bought the cassette, and I didn't know who Anthony Robbins was. There was no picture of him, and I just saw that it was $2 in a $2 Salvos bin, and I bought it. And I listened to him over and over again talk about this man called Deming. And this American man called Deming was teaching Americans how to be the merchandise powerhouse in the world down the track. But who are? China. Asian countries are more you know, developing, redeveloping products and cars that last, and they perform, and they're wonderful. And so they're dominating now. All our money's going there. So Deming was telling America, and America wouldn't listen. So the Chinese listened. They paid him a lot of money and listened. And they did what he was teaching. They were clever enough to see it when no one else could see it in America. And Anthony Robbins said, Kanai, the cassette was called, the technology that Deming was teaching was called Kanai, constant and never-ending improvement. Kanai. And the Americans didn't want to hear it. So Anthony Robbins was using that philosophy to teach on that cassette. If you were to change and grow, constant, never-ending improvement, you would be like Deming says. So I go, wow, I listened to that cassette over and over. And then one night, in the early hours of the morning, infomercial came on. Do you remember those infomercials? They're information commercials.
Yeah.
And there's Anthony Robbins walking along a beach. And I'm there, oh my God, that's what he looks like. Because there was no internet. There was we had encyclopedias. You had to go to the library, you know, read books. So I saw it and I wrote them down, 1-800 blah, 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 to America. And I ordered it. It took months to come, and I ordered his personal power cassettes. And then I started listening. I got my little Walkman with my ear things, and I cleaned and I listened, and I mastered the work. And in one of those cassettes I still have, he says, if you ever get around to it, get yourself a little book called 3 Magic Words. It'll change your life. So I tried to, but it was out of print because it was way ahead of its time. And I ended up buying it from a second-hand antiquarian bookstore, still in North Terrace. And he made a phone call to buy it second-hand from a bookstore in London. I think it cost me $60-something. And back then, and it came, and I read it, and it was like, oh my God, this is true. No one, you know, this was a lot of years ago. No one, there wasn't many people you could talk to this about. So I wanted to master it. All I want to do is read it. I want to read it all the time. I had to go and clean. I had the kids. So I put on audio. I just walked around with this cassette player on all the time. In the house, at work. The kids only knew me with this cassette player on. And I mastered the work, but I hadn't mastered it. I knew it. And when it came to my test, I couldn't do it. And then when I was dying, I said, you're there for me. And so I started to put it into practice and saved my life.
Can I ask, just before the Anthony Robbins, when you had the cassette come into your hands, how spiritual were you, would you say, at that point in your life? Or just was it?
I was very spiritual.
Okay.
People would come to my house and they'd say, you're very religious, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's what they'd say, because I had Jesus everywhere. And I think, I'm not religious. I just love Jesus. And I didn't know why, I just loved Jesus.
Yeah.
I had a past life regression because I had a really bad relationship, and I thought, what is going on with me? What is the matter with me? And I was talking to Diane Bill Chambers at the bookstore, and she said, why don't you go see this guy and have a past life? Because I asked her, I said, you know, maybe I should have a past life. And she said, there's a guy that we promote on the wall. So I went to see him. His name was Walter something. Anyway, amazing guy. I did the past life regression, and you're there. You know you're there. And they're telling you, he's saying to me, you're just getting more relaxed, more relaxed. So I knew I was away. And all of a sudden he says, because I only wanted to know the life I've come from. I didn't want to know any more. He asked me, I said, no, I just want to know where I come from, because I knew all this truth. And I thought, I'm stuck because of my past life. I want to know what happened. So I'm sitting in this chair, and he says to me, the count of 3, you will appear where you were in your past life, who you were, where you were. And he goes, 1, 2, 3, you're there now. And I see myself. It was amazing. I can still see it now, like a clear movie of my life, of my memory of my life. And there am I standing on a bit of a dirty hill with sand, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm a nun. I'm a nun in a long nun's gown, yeah? And I'm looking at myself, and it's so cold. It's so cold. I'm so cold. And he says to me, where are you? And I'm there. I'm not sure. There's all this sandy dirt, and the wind's blowing it. And I want to tell him I'm a nun, and I'm there, because what if I'm wrong? Like, I think I'm a nun. And I'm looking at myself, and I knew I was a nun because I looked up, and there's this massive cathedral. And I'm standing, leaning near a pole, and it's huge. It's all religious everywhere. And I said to him, I think I'm a nun. And he goes, oh, okay, you're a nun. And he said to me, what are you wearing? And I described to him what I'm wearing. And then he says to me, on the count of 3, I'm going to take you to something horrific that happened to you when you were there. Oh, he asked me the year, and I told him the year again as well. And it was like 1700 and something. And then he says, where are you? And I said, I'm in Spain. And I've got to tell you guys something. This will freak you out. Janella Spanish. This will freak you out. I studied Spanish back to front. I went to school and I paid thousands of dollars to learn Spanish for nothing. For nothing. You know what they say to me when I arrived at school? My teacher, I was an adult going to do this, and my teacher goes, oh, you're travelling to Spain soon? Because I knew I was travelling, I knew my history. And I'd say, because you get different teachers, teaching the same curriculum. And language with eyes closed, it was called. It was a fast way of learning, but it was very expensive. Anyway, and he was travelling to Spain soon. No. Oh, you got a Spanish husband, your partner? No. Why are you learning Spanish? I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't even say I love the language. And I had so much trouble because Italian and Spanish are similar. And I had a lot of trouble learning. And they were going, oh, Buick. What's that? That's not Italian. I mean, no, it's French. Oh, French. And me and my father was saying, oh, how come you're not learning French? And I'm there, I know. It would make more sense. And I'm there, I don't know. And I would say, I don't know. And I learned it. And I studied it. I would study it like crazy. And when I'm there, he says, where are you? What country are you? And I'm there, Spain. Spain. It never dawned on me at the time. I'm in there, Spain. And he goes, okay. And he goes, on count of 3, I'm going to take you to a very bad time. Counts to 3. And I start screaming like a maniac. Crying, screaming. The tears were. And he goes, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm there. They're taking my son away from me. They told me I could keep him. So I have a son. I'm a nun, and I have a son. And they go, take my son. And they go, why? He goes, why are they taking your son? Why? And I said, because the priest, the father of my son, he's gone, he's gone, and now they're taking my son as well. And they told me I could keep him. They told me he could stay with me, but they're taking him. So they would have made him a priest. And because I was screaming, crying so much, he goes, on the count of 3, we're still there, but you have no more emotion. You can't feel anything. 1, 2, 3, and I'm there. I could turn to tackle. And I'm still there. And I'm talking about what happened, telling him the details that, you know, I had the son of this priest, a child, and they were very angry with me and blah, blah, blah. But they told me I could keep my son, and now at the age of 6, they took him away from me. And you know what? When Frankie was born, I had to go see a psychologist because all I did was cry, cry, cry. Because I used to say to my family, he's going to die. Something's going to happen to him. I'm going to lose him. I just know it. I'm going to lose him. And I wouldn't let him out of my sight. And Claudia has issues because she says that I didn't pay any attention to her because she was born a few years after Frankie, that I loved him more. I was so frightened of losing him, and I couldn't justify why. And I had to go and have a lot of help to let go and trust, because he had to go to school. He had to, and the closer it got to that 6th year, the more crazy I became. And when I had this, I was here. I had bought this church. That's 14, 15 years ago. I drive back from the past life regression. I drive into my driveway and I'm like, oh my God, I live in the church. And I never intended to buy church. It came to me. Get out of my car, walk past my car, and I see Claus hanging in the car, the face, number plate that I've had for like 25 years or more. I go to the door, I open the door and I walk in and I look at the church and I go, oh my God, that's why I love Jesus. And people would come to my home, I'd have to hide things because they would go, there's so many crosses. This is a bit spooky. You know, they didn't find it comfortable. And so I go, that person's coming, hide them under the bed. Then they come, pull them all out again. So it's amazing, amazing. And after knowing my past life, from this one, that's all I wanted to know. The one before this one, I had a lot more peace because it made sense to me. And I was building a relationship with Jesus. And guess what? Walter says, how did you end up a nun? And I say, oh, and I see myself as a baby left on the doorstep of the church. And I'm like, oh, I was abandoned. I've got massive abandonment issues. Massive. I got in my car, I'm chasing a person. I said, I'm leaving you. I get in my car, I follow them. It's crazy, you've got no idea. The abandonment fears. And so I was abandoned at the church and they raised me up to be a nun. They took me in, orphanaged me in there, and I became a nun. And I built a relationship with Jesus because I was married to Jesus. Mm-hmm. See? And I would say to people, I just love Jesus. I don't know, I just love Jesus. That's what you say to people about religion. No, I'm not religious. I just go to church. I just love Jesus. And then when I had that regression, it all made sense. And how it drew me back into church because I'm still building my relationship with myself. Christ is myself. And see, all the pieces come together. So it's not a bad thing to go and get a past life regression and go with a very qualified person. They know what they're doing, not just someone that's done a little piddly course somewhere, you know, someone is a hypnotherapist, you know. Yeah, so I hope that's helped answer that question. And we've got to keep developing our relationship with Christ within us. When I send you my favourite movie, Jesus, you will love it, and you will find the meaning, you know, about Christ in you, and, you know, how he lived his life, and, you know, how we've got to carry that on, you know, that truth on. So we are on the chapter on health, and I'm just going to read a tiny bit more because we understand this. When Jesus banished sins and made the blind see and the lame walk, he was not erasing from a ledger held in some ethereal realm by a God who kept records for a judgment day when he will reward the do-gooder and punish the evildoer. The sins that Jesus spoke of were the buried pontiffs of the subconscious mind, the Christ mind, that were manifested themselves as bodily, that now had manifested as bodily ailments. So when we were incarnated, we were born in the womb to particular parents that can school us and develop us back into an adult at a same way of being, the way we think and feel, that we were when we died in our life previous. So we reincarnate and we get the parents that are best equipped to develop us to where we left off in the past life. And I was a victim because in my past life regression, Walter takes me to the end of my life and I'm in a bed and I'm dying. And I can see my hair, and I've got this thick, beautiful hair, long hair, and I'm in this bed like a double bed, and I'm in a cottony, cottony, not lace, but you know, it's all that little embroidery, and I'm there, and there's someone getting what looks like hot water or something, doing something and getting cloth, and it walking to me and just patting me with this cloth, but I am so sick. And he says to me, you can't, 1, 2, 3, you can't feel anything. And I'm just telling him what's going on. And I said to him, I'm dying. And he said, I'm taking you to the last day of your life. And I was in this bed dying. And I was young. I was not old. And I said to him, I'm young. Like, it was like sad because I was so young. I looked so young. And he said, and that's it. So I know that I was a victim. I was abandoned. I was used. I was, had to work, for the church. And I lived a life where I lost the man I loved. His name was Michael. I got an obsession with men called Michael. I tell everyone, I know he can't be bad. You know your guy's called Michael? Michael, because I was telling Walter that his name was Michael and I really loved him and whatever. And so, but I lost him, see? So look at the abandonment issue, and they come into the and so you have to face them again, because I didn't come into power. I didn't step into my power from what happened to me. I became more a victim and then died miserably on my own in that bed with this one person putting this cloth over me. And it may have been someone from the church, a man, not even a woman. You know, I was so alone. I died alone. And so we do not want to repeat our past. So we have to find our truth. We have to live a powerful life. And I must have done a lot of work on the astral plane because I really loved Jesus in my past life. So on the astral plane, I must have grown, you know, as a soul. So then I had an opportunity because I grew and I knew Jesus to some extent that way. I had an opportunity to choose my journey. And I chose to come in a very sick child, you know, lots of issues, and it humbled my ego. But I had issues talking, you know, because you have to get past the victim. You have to pass your test. So, yeah, and so we do all that. And we do not need to create disease. So when Jesus banished sins, he was not erasing them from a ledger. The sins that Jesus spoke of were the buried prompters in the subconscious mind. And that's what I was trying to say. When I came into my mother's womb, I will, you know, all the negative things going on between my mother and father, and there were many. I was creating the prompters to protect myself, defend myself, you know, save myself. And so, because you take on your mother's emotion. So my mother was struggling with an alcoholic father, with an alcoholic husband, and with a lot of aggression. So she was fearful for her life always. So I took that fear on. And so we developed our ego, victim. I had to look at my past life. We now know my past life. I was a victim. You know, abandoned by parents that didn't want me, you know, used in the church, raised in the church, and then used by the priest, and, you know, pregnant, and then taken the child away, taken everything away, and then died very young, because can you imagine the pain of losing your child and everything that mattered to you? So I had to come in as a victim. So I had to take on all my mum's victim issues, right? So we can see all of that. And if you continue that victim mentality, you die. And I nearly lost my life very young, like my past life. But I had all this truth. And all those cassettes that I found along the way when I found a garage sale, a lady from London came here and she had all these cassettes no one had in our shops here. And I bought the little Walkman and listened to them all. Louise Hay, Neil Donald Walsh, and Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, all of these people who no one knew about here back then. Amazing. And I got to listen to them and learn and grow. So, and have this, so that at that point in my life, when I could have died a victim with a disease, in my past life, I said, I know all this truth. I know I threw my life away. I know I did it. No one else did it to me. It's no one else's fault. It's not that person's fault or that person's. It's not because I can't talk. I can talk. It's my fault. Give me the chance to live. I'll show you God. And that's what I said. And I lived for it. Because you wake up and you take responsibility. Your mind is everything. You blame no one. You are God. How can you blame anyone? So, Jesus' forgiveness of them for their sins, their wrong thoughts, was simply assurance to his patient that as soon as such buried guilts and hostilities and rejections were forgotten, like I did in that moment when I chose my life, he would be healed. What Jesus was saying was the real you, the great you, and the good and the perfect you. Acknowledge this perfection and your body will become perfect also. So just read that again. So what Jesus was saying was the real you, the great you, and the good you, and perfect you. Acknowledge this perfection in you, and your body will become perfect also. So, the intelligence, the God intelligence that inhabits a man's body will become anything that is projected into it. It will make a healthy body if health is projected. And it will make a sickly body if limitation or hate or bitterness is projected. Thus, a healthy body is always a result of a healthy mind and heart. And a sickly body is always a result of a blocked and unhappy mind and heart. If we would heal our bodies, we must first heal our minds with love, with recognition of our true God being, with meditation at the center of consciousness. So, I'm going to leave the health chapter there. There is nothing in the universal subconscious mind, God, that desires that our bodies be warped and sick and decayed from the purposeful function for which they were intended. We must know who we are. It is our ego conception of ourselves that visits disease upon us. And when we have conceived ourselves to be spiritually perfect, we become physically perfect. The real you is not your body. It never has been. Your body is but an infinitesimal extension in time and space. The real you is limitless in power and the capacity to understand and to create. When you have recognized your true spiritual soul, you have become identified with the mortal soul. And disease cannot exist in your body. You cannot have the virus. For there is no limitation in the universal subconscious mind of God. So isn't that amazing? Now, when you want to have some more to eat, darling, or do you want to have a break and get a coffee and a tea? And then I'll talk a little bit more. I've made some notes, and I want to talk about those videos that I sent you. Seek ye the kingdom of God, and also the other one, the Sermon on the Mount.
And so, Jamie, how do you become psychic? Was it because you're near?
So, guys, we're continuing our 3 magic words on the chapter on success and health, and at the moment we're outside, as you can probably see. It's gotten dark in the video. We're outside because we're currently asked to keep the numbers down in our workshop and sit outside, which is good. We're doing all of that, and we are touching on success and health. And isn't that interesting? Health, with what's going on with this virus around the world, and I believe that our intention behind what we think, what we imagine, and what we feel in our heart, we create. And remember that we're God. We're the energy of Christ, collectively known as God. And when we visualize an end outcome of peace, harmony, health in the world, and abundance, and we intend that, not for some ego reason, but with love, with harmony and love, then this is what we shall see, and we will see it quickly. So this is something that we're putting out there, and I request all of you who will see this video and who are interested in the words that we teach, 3 magic words, and the 3 magic words are I am God. And when you know fully who you are, that you are the energy known as Christ, and therefore when you create, you draw on the energy of your Father, known as God, and everything is manifested in your life, and it will come. You impregnate the universe with your image, your thought, your end outcome, and your visualization, and it will come in its appointed hour, and you have to have faith, have the trust, the faith, the belief in that, and you will live to see this outcome in your life. And so we are not deterred or frightened by what is going on in the world, because remember that the universe is evolving through 7 rays, 7 spiritual rays. It's like the 7 chakras. So the 7 rays of evolution for the universe, for the earth, for the world, for the universe to evolve. Currently, we are more than halfway through these rays, and we're in the ray known as love. And the ray of love is a 2,000-year ray, and we're currently more than halfway through it. We're roughly halfway through it. So we're 1,000 years, 1,000 human years through the ray known as love. And so you can see the trend toward this kind of work. You can see the trend toward love. But you can also see, if we're at the peak of love, because we're in the middle of the ray of love, we're also at the peak of fear, which some people call evil. So I like to call it fear, because fear is just, we just don't know any better. The ego only knows what it knows. It's fearful. And the worst of fear can be looked at as evil. But I like to call it fear. We're at the peak of fear, and we're at the peak of love in the world. And we know that love has already overcome fear. Because in all spiritual texts in the Bible, every religious and every spiritual text, it says creation is finished. And God said it was good. So we know it's finished. So we understand that we're here still going through something in time and space that is actually finished. And we've adopted states of being, as Neville Goddard says. I've adopted the state of being me, Chintzia Viewer. We've all adopted a state of being. And we can shift that state and step into another state of being. And I suggest we step into the state of being Christ, because that's who we are. So let's envision ourselves as that Christ energy and start to perform our miracles in the world. That's the state I choose to now, from now on, focus on. And the state that I choose to close off my life, knowing I am the reincarnated Jesus Christ. And the Father and I are one. So I know there is nothing that I can't desire in my mind and my heart and visualize and have in my life. And that's what I'm suggesting for us to do now more than ever, because we've got a world to heal. And these are, when I send you this video tonight, it's one of my favorite videos of Jesus' life, and it's the Gospel of John, because John came before Jesus, and John was baptizing people because he heard God tell him he had to baptize people with water, because the one who comes after him is greater than him, and that he is the Lamb of God and he will save the world. And so that's what this John was doing, this disciple John. And so I just love this movie of Jesus. And when you watch that, it'll help you to understand your journey and how we are this loving energy, and how there is nothing that we can't do, and how even Jesus had to prove himself to his disciples, to his followers, for them to understand him. He started to perform miracles. And his very first miracle you hear in this movie, he was at a wedding with his mother and his disciples, and they ran out of wine. And we don't hear this one. I've heard of it vaguely. And his mother turned to him, and he went into this like room, and called all the waiters, people that were serving and working, and they had these drums, these clay drums, and he looked at them. Then he turned, he looked up to the heavens, and he said something to God. And then he turned it back to the people working the reception and said to them, fill all the drums, and I think there were 5 of them, fill them with water. And they looked at him like, water? Because the people were getting grumpy, there was no water. And the couple that got married were getting all worried and stressed. And then when they filled, they called him, and the mother said to them, do exactly as my son tells you. And they filled them with water, and then they said, we filled them with water. And Jesus went, he looked at the water, and he goes, okay, get the jugs, fill the jugs, and serve at the tables. And they were like looking at each other. And when they put the jug in, water came out. But when they poured it, it was wine. And the main person at the wedding gets up and he tastes the wine, and he goes up to the wedding couple and he says, normally at all weddings, the hosts serve the best wine first. And then when everyone's half drunk, they serve the bad wine. But in this case, they let the best wine last. And they were all freaking out. And that was his very first miracle. And so what's your very first miracle? Like, what do we want to see in the world? What do we want to do? You know, we've seen little miracles that we've created and big ones. And I was sharing last week, we went to Palazzo's. Were you there? Yeah. And I showed you that. My beautiful friend Rita shared with me on her Instagram. She did a story, and so many people saw the workshop, and I'm so grateful to my beautiful, beautiful friend. And I'm saying these are little miracles, and there's so many phenomenal miracles that we're creating in our life. Now let's create one for the world. Let's create this healing for the world, that we've opened the heart chakras, and it's all finished. There's peace, there's love in the world, and we'll keep creating these amazing miracles, right? So I sent you 2 beautiful videos. The Seeking Ye the Kingdom of Heaven, little videos of Jesus speaking in parables. And the second one I'll send you was the Sermon on the Mount. The Sermon on the Mount. And the Sermon on the Mount, the Sermon on the Mount. Right, go away if I give you this. Go away. Now, here we go. The Sermon on the Mount is when Jesus is talking about building the two houses. So Jesus says, it's the Gospel of Matthew, and the parable appears at the end of the Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus says, everyone therefore who hears these words of mine and does them. Let me just go back a little bit. Here's these words. Hang on a minute. Okay, so that has to be. So he says, everyone therefore who hears these words of mine and does them, I will liken them to a wise man who built his house on the rock. So what he's saying there is, we're reading the three magic words. When we're reading the Bible, when we're reading the truth about Jesus and the truth about the talks, the truth about life, right? About spiritual truth, about who we truly are. When we're reading that, when we're learning that, right? Jesus says, everyone therefore who hears these words of mine. In other words, when Jesus was preaching, walking, talking, preaching the truth, those of you who hear these words of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on a rock. The rain came down, the floods came. This is going on in the world, you know, tests, trouble, challenges, right? The rain came down, the floods came down, and the winds blew and beat upon that house. Who is the house? The house is us. It's you, right? And it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock, on truth, on who we really are. Everyone who hears these words of mine, says Jesus, the truth, and doesn't do them, in other words, you don't get about your Father's business, will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain came down. This is the challenges in the world at the moment. The floods came, the winds blew and beat upon the house, us, and it fell, and great was its fall. So this is from the Sermon on the Mount that I sent you. So what I want to say is this: speech is the law. As we think it, so it is done to us. We are putting out all the time. And speech is your mind. What you find yourself saying, doing and being, even though you might be saying, you know, that person's like this, I've learnt this, I'm not doing that, but then we're gossiping or we're behaving in a negative way or complaining. Speech is telling you your law. What you're saying, how you're thinking, how you're behaving is telling you what you really believe in. If you find yourself in a negative place, like talking about someone or feeling like a victim because someone said or did something to you, and you say, I'm just venting, that is your law. That's where you're at. And Jesus is just saying, build your house on the rock. Be as I have taught you. Do as I have taught you. If you are not, you're building your house on the sand. The next time someone tests you, you're going to fall. And hard will be that fall, he's saying. So, when we get responsible about who we're being, what we're saying, what we're thinking, how we're feeling, we can work out our function and our purpose in life. Why I am here. What am I meant to be doing? What is my purpose? The Lord from heaven in all of us is trying to become self-conscious. That means we've got to become God. That's why I said, let's make it our intention to be the Christ. Be the Christ. Let's make this our purpose, our God, to be the Lord, because the Christ is God. I am the Father of one. The Lord from heaven, and all of us is trying to become self-conscious in the body while in this form, that he may be about his Father's business. What is his business? To imitate his Father, to imitate the Lord God, to become master of the world. But we're going to let those other ones become master of the world, guys? They want to control the world. Are we going to let them do that when we know they're Christ? They don't know they're Christ, but somehow they've taken the money, all the banks, all the money, all the military, all the police. They own the health system and the UN, and every country is their prisoner because they own all of this in every country. So there's only a couple left, but they don't. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to become master of the world? Because that's what God came into us for. How are we going to do that, guys? We're not going to do it by getting arms and chemical weapons, because we know that we're loved. We know that we shoot them, we kill them, we poison ourselves. That's not what this is about. We're about unity and love and healing, and about understanding the truth of who they are. Why would we do that? We can't do that. That's ridiculous. So we know the truth. We must become master of the world through love. And through our love and power, we create that by envisioning it, and that's going to be our vision. We're going to see a world of harmony, a world of peace, a world of power, beauty, love everywhere. So the powers of fear will come down. How they come down, we don't envision, because that's not our job. We just envision our heart. You know, when you see the heart of Jesus in all those pictures, and Mother Mary, and you see that? I want you to envision that in those people. All right? So that's what we're going to do, because we are imitating God, the Lord God, becoming master of the world, master of the inner talking is necessary, master of the inner envisioning and the inner talking and the inner emotions, that we may mold this world about ourselves. So to imitate his Father, to imitate the Lord God, to become master of the world, master of his inner talking, that he may mold this world about him into a likeness of the kingdom of God. This is what God is doing. The kingdom of love, heaven on earth. The prophets in all the spiritual texts say, be the imitators of God as their children. How do we imitate God? God calls things that are not seen as they are now seen. Creation. We are creating that which isn't real, isn't happening. Now it's happening. Now it is. So we're going to change what you're seeing in the world to what we are calling. Peace, love, harmony, beauty, abundance, all. Fair, all. I have to share something with you guys. I'm just holding a little spot there. Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins, turned 60. And I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, but 2 nights ago, he posted, and it came up on my phone. I went, oh, So I had a look, and he had about 3,000 people or more in the room, and there was a big tribute to him, and there were bands and people talking, and you see it. And people getting up saying, "You saved my life. You're an amazing man. Oh my God, you know, you have so much love and so much compassion, and what you've done for the homeless, and what you've done for people with no food, and the starving, and the children, and the da-da-da-da-da-da," and it went on and on and on. And I was watching and listening, and the people were crying and talking. And toward the end, and there was one guy that got up as well, and he said, "I met you by default. I'm successful by default because my mother put that cassette on in the car." And I'm thinking, that's cracking. Anyway, and then they were all talking, and the whole night was dedicated to the closing down and the healing of the corrupt underground world of stealing children and selling them on the black market. And America is one of the main places that that's been happening for years. And apparently they have underground tunnels where they take the children so that they can't be found, and they travel them between the borders underground. Anyway, they were talking about this, and the whole night was dedicated to raise the money, his birthday party, to raise the money toward them shutting down this corrupt group. At the end, Tony Robbins got up on the stage and he was crying and says, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." And he says, "This is one of the projects that's been closest to my heart, because these young kids, once their organs are developed, they're prime subjects for it, and they're kidnapped and they're sold for $10,000, because each organ is worth $250,000. And they take them and they dismantle their bodies and take off their organs and sell them on the black market." And he said, "This has to stop." And he's been working on it for like 30 years. And that night, they were raising money, and a lady came on the big screen and she kicked it off with $2.something million, $2.5 million donated to his project to shut them down, to catch them, to close them down. And that was amazing. You hear all about this, and these children are lured, friendships are made, and then they're lured because they've made a friend and they trust this person, young kid, and the young kid lures them into trap. And they're taken, no one knows where they are because what happened to you. So they're easily taken from all over the world in that movie Taken, you know. So I wanted to share that with you because Tony Robbins is being God. He's imitating God. What I heard said about him, what he's been doing in his life, he's imitating God. He's about his Father's business, you know. And that's amazing. So I say to you guys, how do we imitate God? God calls things that are not seen as though they were seen, and the unseen becomes a seen. Start creating. Create anything you want. And we're creating being the Christ. And we're creating peace and harmony in the world. And then anything else you want, you visualize it. And creating your life. Do that. Don't do it now and again. Do it every single day of your life. Because if you're not, you're going back into your pattern ego, you know, and you worry and you just don't, you know, you create mediocre life. And you don't want to do that, right? So, and the unseen becomes the seen. We are to imitate God, using our imagination and our creating from love and imagery. with love, not fear, there is absolutely nothing we cannot create. Our inner conversations cause about the world around us that we see. And why are we seeing this world? Because people complain. They complain. They worry. They complain. I said to someone the other day, and they were complaining now, what am I going to do? What am I going to do now? I'm going to be home with all this time. And well, you were saying over and over again, it's never ending. Every time I saw you, you said it's never ending, and I told you stop saying that. Because if you keep saying it's never ending, so if you want your life to end, well, now it's on hold. All of that you're complaining about, that you're running around you couldn't keep up with, has stopped. We've got to stop being negative and stop playing small and complaining and whinging. We've got to step up and be the gods that we are and create the life that we want. So, our inner conversations call about the world we see. If we're seeing this world collectively, we've created it. We're collectively in this dilemma. We're collectively going through this drama as a group. So we have to, look at you, you're on TV. So in the Bible it says, every idle word that man shall speak, they shall give an account thereof. By your word you shall be justified, and by your word you shall be condemned. What are we seeing? What are we saying in our world? Is it fear-based? Predominantly, we are the creators. So this is really, really important that we know, assuming the feeling of a wish fulfilled while you fall asleep, your imaginations and feelings begin, listen guys, they begin to ascend. As you get drowsy, your imaginations, your end outcome visualizations with feeling as though you are present in there. As you fall asleep, they begin to ascend and you begin to fall asleep. When we go to sleep, we slip from this three-dimensional world into a fourth-dimensional realm, right? And that which is ascending, what's ascending? What is ascending when we go into the fourth-dimensional realm is your soul. And who is your soul? It's God. Do you understand, guys? This is critical that we get this. That when you go to sleep, you must be visualizing the end outcome of this planet. Peace, love, harmony. We are in control. Who's in control of the world? Who's mastered the world? God, love. That's what we have to see as we go to sleep. We only need to do it 3 or 4 nights. Do you understand? 3 or 4 nights and it's done. So we go to sleep. What ascends with that visual, with that knowing? What ascends is God. God ascends out of the crown chakra onto the fourth dimensional plane. What goes onto the fourth dimensional plane by law manifests. It manifests. So we're going to do this as a group. I'm sending this out to Rita. Please send this to everyone you know, because the more the merrier that are creating this peaceful end outcome for our planet. Okay? So we need to understand that. So it is the fourth dimensional focus known as God that ascends with your vision, with your creation intact. And once it goes there, it has to, by law, manifest. What do you think the majority of people are going to be dreaming, thinking about? The fears. Yeah, the virus, they're going to shut down our banks, blah, 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 blah. Fear. That we can overpower that. Only takes one, because we are one. And one that knows who he is, knows who he is. Your greater self, God, is ascending from the top of your crown chakra. And that's the time. And that's the time you place yourself into the mood and the feeling and the visual end outcome of what you want to have appear in your life and world. By expressing in imagination what you would experience in reality as an end outcome, were you already that which you want to be, in other words, as an end outcome, and repeating it over and repeating over and over again the phrase, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? As you're falling asleep, right? Okay? Assume the mood, the end outcome visual, and the mood, the feeling. It's fulfilled, already done. Go to sleep in this mood and vision. It's repeating the phrase over and over. Isn't it wonderful? So guys, I'm going to leave it there, because that's what I want us to focus on and create in our lives. And we will know ourselves as powerful world workers, world miracle workers. And we are that. And that's what I'm envisioning tonight. The heart chakra with these people, so that they're healed. Because imagine their lives, you know, they've got to find their truth. And we're going to see that, and we imagine the world in a harmonious, beautiful, peaceful place, no illness, plenty of abundance, health and prosperity and love and peace. And we're saying, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? We're richer than ever, happier than ever, healthier than ever. Okay, my darling ones. So that's concluding our 3 magic words, success and health. And if anyone wants to share anything, you can. We can share anything you'd like to share. I know Pearlie was saying you had lots of little miracles happening when I saw you last, and on Saturday when we were talking, amazing things that are happening in our lives, and sometimes we just forget them, because they're, you know, they happen, and then we think, you know, wow, at the time, and then we forget them. But they're the little ones are just as powerful as magnificent large ones. And I have to share that. Remember how many times I was trying to open that fashion shop, and every time I ran around trying to find an outlet, I somehow couldn't get it. You know, they were asking too much money, or they had some clause that didn't work, or the shop wasn't right. And now I can see that the universe is trying to stop me, because it's not the right timing. And, you know, things like this happen at a time where I think, oh wow, I've got to learn to not resist when the universe is saying no. You know, there's the universe is talking to us all the time, and it's easy to interpret things incorrectly as well. You know, or interpret what you want to see in something. So you have to learn to trust and to be guided and to be grateful. And remember, guys, this is for everyone out there who's listening. We are the creators. There isn't anything that we can't create, that we can't have showing up in our life. That's why, you know, Never Got Our teachers, you know, that remember when technique, where you walk in somewhere and say, oh, remember when I used to live here in this little church with 6 of us in a tiny little 2-bedroom church. How did I ever do that? Look at me now. Look where I live now. And what you're doing is you're shifting, you're turning a present state of being, because I'm presently living in the little 2-bedroom church, right? But I'm tweaking my memory of my mind, that component of my mind called the memory. I'm tricking it by saying, remember when I used to live in here, this 2-bedroom little church with these 6 adults? Like, that's crazy. How did I ever do it? What happens is the mind, the memory bank of the mind, which living here was currently something that was current and present, you've just shifted that into the past. So if living here is no longer a present reality of my mind, it's a past, then my mind has to create a present one. And the present one, I said, is a magnificent, amazing mansion, church, or whatever you want to say. Do you understand, guys? That's that remember when technique. What it's doing is it's shifting your present state of being, whether you're presently, you know, I remember when I had no money. Remember when I used to look in my phone to check my account, daring not to see because there was never any money in it. And now there's like all these zeros behind all this money. Like, and I know it. I never have to check my money. I'm so rich. And every day money just pours into my account from all over the world because I've created this new way of working. When you say something like that, that's what I say. When you say something like that, your brain has these compartments, and memory is one of them. And that I've studied this memory technique. So the memory, remember when technique, I've really studied it. When you say, I remember when, I never had enough money. And I used to have to check before I bought that. Have I got enough? When I did that, when now I say, remember when I used to do that, now I have so many zeros behind the money, I don't even ever have to think about it or look. I want to buy a house? Sure. I want to buy this $300,000 car? Sure. I want to give money to this charity or this foundation? Absolutely. When you can, now I'm like that. Remember when I was like that? Now my money's like this. What happens is the compartment that's a memory bank now takes your current state as a past state. Because you said, remember when I was like that? I'm not like that anymore. Look at this, all these zeros behind my money. I can buy whatever I like, do what I give money where I like. What happens is, if you keep doing that, the state you're in at the moment becomes in mind, in the memory bank component of your mind, that becomes your past straight away. In the now, Remember that your brain is existing now. Past, present, future. All existing in one time now. Your past doesn't exist as a concrete thing somewhere down there in the past. You can't go to it. It's here. It's all here in your brain now. So the minute you say, remember when I used to have no money, and now there's all these zeros, I look up, blah, 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 all this money. What happens is, immediately in your present now mind, in the component called the memory, your current state of money becomes your past memory. That means a new state has to materialize, and you start having money showing up. It just shows up. Every time I think my money is running out, I look at all those stacks of $100 notes, stacks of them, and I go, yeah, I'm a multi-billionaire. And then money just shows up. Money just falls in my lap. And that's because I say, I remember when I had none, before I used to scrape it together. And I remember when I used to live like this, and now I don't. So do you understand, guys? I want you to continue to do all of that. And because I want you to be the miracle makers that you are. We are. And we are creating amazing things together. And we are going to, in 3 days, Jesus rose to life. In 3 days, we're going to change the world. Right? We go to sleep tonight, envision this, and we have already done it. It is already done. We are these. I am God. And that loving intention to heal the world is there. You're going to hear something magical in the next 3 days. You'll all be texting and reading. Right? So this is for us all to do, this beautiful gift to the world. Have you envisioned the end outcome of the planet and everyone on it peaceful, happy, joyous, excited, abundant, healthy and happy. And the children laughing and dancing and singing in abundance everywhere. And recordings and powers that be talking about peace and harmony. Okay? We are all creating it together, guys. Right? So envision that vision that I just said with absolute feeling as you're falling asleep every night now. And I want you to say, as you're falling asleep, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? Okay? So we'll close now. Good night, everyone. Thank you for being with me. And remember those 3 magic words: I'm God, peace, power,